Black women, you are not lazy. You are living out of alignment. There is a lie that has followed Black women for generations. A quiet lie, a dangerous one, that if something is not working in your life, it must be because you are not doing enough, not disciplined enough, not focused enough, not strong enough. So what do? You push harder. You wake up earlier. You stretch yourself thinner. You give more. Even when there is nothing left to give. And still, something doesn't move. And after a while, you start to look at yourself differently. You start to wonder, why can't I get it together? Why does it feel harder for me? Why am I so tired all the time? And the world will answer you quickly. It will tell you, you need to be more disciplined. You need to be more consistent. You need to stop being lazy. But what if that is not the truth? What if the problem is not that you are lazy, but that you have been living a life that does not agree with your design? Because laziness, real laziness, is a lack of desire to move. But that is not you. You desire more. You think about more. You imagine more. You feel that there is more for you. That is not laziness. That is awareness. So if you are not lazy, then why does everything feel so heavy? Section 1. The weight of misalignment. Misalignment has a weight to it. It is not always visible, but you feel it in your body, in your thoughts, in the way your energy drops in certain rooms. It feels like moving through water. Everything takes more effort. Simple things feel overwhelming. Decisions feel harder than they should, and you cannot quite explain why, because on paper, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You're working, you're showing up, you're trying, but internally, there is a quiet resistance. And that resistance is not laziness. It is your spirit saying, this is not it. Section 2. What happens when you live too long out of alignment? When you live out of alignment for too long, your body starts to respond. Your nervous system becomes tired. Your mind becomes scattered. Your motivation starts to disappear. Not because you don't care, but because your system is overwhelmed. And then something even more dangerous happens. You begin to normalize it. You start to think, this is just life. This is what adulthood feels like. This is what responsibility looks like. No, this is what disconnection feels like. Because when you are in alignment, there is effort, yes, but there is also flow. There is a rhythm to your life. There is a sense that even when things are challenging, they make sense. But when you are out of alignment, everything feels forced, even the things you thought you wanted. Section 3. The conditioning of the strong Black woman. Let's talk about something we don't always say out loud. Black women have been conditioned to survive, to endure, to carry, to push through, even when everything in our body is saying, stop. We were taught that strength looks like not resting, not complaining, not needing. We were taught that softness was dangerous, that slowing down meant falling behind, that questioning your environment meant you were ungrateful. So what did? We adapted. We became exceptional at functioning in dysfunction. But here's the cost. When you are constantly overriding yourself, you lose your connection to your own alignment. You stop knowing what feels right because you have trained yourself to tolerate what doesn't. And then one day, you wake up and you don't recognize your own life. Section 4. You are not undisciplined. You are disconnected. Let me say this clearly. You are not failing because you lack discipline. You are struggling because you are disconnected from yourself. Discipline without alignment feels like punishment. You have to force everything. You have to push yourself constantly. You have to rely on willpower just to get through the day. But alignment changes that. Because when something is aligned, you don't have to convince yourself to move toward it. There is a natural pull, a quiet certainty, a sense that this is where you are supposed to be. And that doesn't mean it's easy. It just means it's true. Section 5, how misalignment shows up in your life. Misalignment is subtle, but once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It shows up in your relationships, when you are giving more than you are receiving, but telling yourself to be patient. It shows up in your work, when you are overextending yourself, but still feeling undervalued. It shows up in your body, when you are constantly tired, but pushing through anyway. It shows up in your goals, when you start things, but cannot sustain them. And every time this happens, it chips away at your trust in yourself. Because deep down, you know when something is off. You know when something is not right for you. But knowing and acting on what you know are two very different things. Section 6. The moment you realize you've been betraying yourself. There is a moment, and if you've experienced it, you know, where everything becomes clear. You see your patterns. You see the moments where you ignored yourself. You see the times you said yes when you meant no. And it hits you. Not with anger, but with a quiet sadness. Because you realize you were not being rejected by life. You were abandoning yourself. And that realization is not meant to break you. It is meant to wake you up. Section 7. Returning to alignment. Returning to alignment is not dramatic. It does not require you to burn your life down overnight. It begins with something much quieter. It begins with honesty. Honesty about what is not working. Honesty about what you are tolerating. Honesty about what you already know. And then you begin making different choices. Small ones, subtle ones, but consistent ones. You start listening to your body. You start honoring your intuition. You start choosing yourself in moments where you would have previously abandoned yourself. And slowly, your life begins to shift. Not all at once, but enough for you to feel it. You are not lazy. You are not behind. You are not incapable. You have simply been living out of alignment with who you truly are. And the moment you return to yourself, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you are no longer working against your own nature. And that is where your power has always been. In this day and age where Black women are literally being targeted in their jobs and politics and in social media, you have to find alignment with the places, people, ideals, and philosophical thought processes that will elevate you, that will water you. But you first must find what it is that you want in yourself. Alignment starts with you. There is a version of you that is not tired, not anxious, not overextended, not constantly bracing for the next thing to go wrong. She is not rushing. She is not explaining herself. She is not proving her worth every time she walks into a room. And for many women, especially Black women, that version of self feels almost unreal. Because somewhere along the way, we were taught that ease was dangerous, that rest was irresponsible, that softness was something we had to earn. But what if I told you, softness is not a reward? It is a requirement. Because what people are calling the soft life is not about luxury. It is not about vacations or aesthetics or curated morning routines. It is about something much deeper, something biological, something historical. It is about repair. Section 1, what your body has been holding, science plus reality. Your body is not just living in the present moment, it is carrying patterns, stress responses, adaptations that were built over time. When you're constantly in environments that require you to be alert, to perform, to endure, your nervous system shifts into survival mode. And in that state, your body is not focused on thriving. It is focused on getting through. Science calls this chronic stress, allostatic load, the wear and tear on the body from prolonged stress exposure. And it shows up as fatigue that doesn't go away, anxiety that feels constant, difficulty focusing, hormonal imbalance, inflammation. This is not weakness. This is biology. Section 2. The historical layer, what was interrupted. Now we have to go deeper because this didn't start with you. There was a time when African societies operated in rhythm with the land, with community, with spiritual systems that honored the body. Rest was not laziness, it was part of life. Then came disruption, colonization, enslavement, forced labor, separation from land, identity, and autonomy. And survival became the priority, not alignment. Alignment was lost for Black women for 450 years. The key to getting the life you specifically want, you must get back what your ancestors lost. Our female line didn't get to show softness, nor nervous system regulation. They had to survive. And over generations, that survival mode became normalized, passed down, not just culturally, but biologically, from mother to child, and repeat. Generations after generations, because stress patterns can be inherited. Epigenetics shows that trauma can influence how genes are expressed across generations. So what you are feeling is not just your own life. It is layered. It's like 200 generations of toxic layers on top of each Black woman walking around the globe, whether her slavery was in the Caribbean, America, or in Europe. Trauma has presented itself to us in colorism, texturism, cultural misogynoir, both from the Black community and out, and low self-esteem among our Black girls. We have lost alignment to that divine entity that walked on the earth first, migrated, and took over the globe. Now fast forward. The soft life movement emerges. And on the surface, it looks beautiful. Luxury aesthetics, travel, relaxation. But something gets lost in translation. Because softness becomes something to perform instead of something to restore. And many women try to step into a soft life without addressing the nervous system underneath it. So what happens? You go on vacation and still feel anxious. So you rest. But because your nervous system is out of whack, your mind won't turn off. You slow down, but feel guilty because your body is still in survival mode. Softness without repair feels unfamiliar. Section 4. Alignment plus nervous system, the true connection. Alignment is not just about your mindset, it is about your state, because you cannot make aligned decisions from a dysregulated body. If your nervous system is constantly activated, 1, you will choose from fear and urgency and from scarcity. 2, you will say yes too quickly. 3, stay too long. And 4, most dangerously, you will ignore your intuition. But when your system is regulated, everything changes. 1, your perception slows down. 2, your intuition becomes clearer. 3, your decisions become sharper. 4, because you are no longer reacting. And 5, you are responding. Section 5, women who embody this historical power plus alignment. There have always been women who refuse to live disconnected from themselves. She moved through danger with a level of internal clarity that most people cannot even imagine. That was not panic, or was it chaos? That was a regulated mind under pressure, a woman so aligned with her purpose that her intuition guided her through life-threatening conditions. She did not lead through frantic energy. She led through strategy and spiritual stillness, connecting to the land and the spirit. That level of leadership requires regulation. It requires alignment. Powerful, aligned female leaders move, write, and achieve with depth, with patience, with clarity. That kind of creative power does not come from chaos. It comes from a mind that is able to sit and access something deeper. Section 6. What happens when you do not repair? When you do not repair your nervous system, you stay in cycles. You attract chaos in relationships. You tolerate environments that drain you. You struggle to execute your goals consistently because your system is trying to survive, not expand. And the most dangerous part? You start to think, this is just who you are. Section 7, Redefining the Soft Life, the Truth. Transmuted Living's version of soft life is not about escaping responsibility. It is about creating a life your body does not have to recover from. It is about waking up without immediate tension, moving through your day without constant urgency, being able to sit with yourself without discomfort. That is power, because a regulated woman is a dangerous woman. She cannot be easily manipulated. She cannot be rushed into poor decisions. She cannot be disconnected from herself. You do not need to earn rest. You do not need to prove your worth through exhaustion. Your softness is not weakness. It is your body returning to what it was always meant to be. And when you allow that process to happen, you don't just feel better. You become clearer and stronger. You love with precision, and most of all, you are aligned.
What you see on this single street cannot be found anywhere in West Africa of almost 500 million people. The structures were carefully designed and built to align with the streets, pavement, roads, bus stops, bike lanes, and train stations. Underground cabling and pipes adorned the street, supplying an uninterrupted power and water supply year-round. Whether in Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, and even all the noise around Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, he has not built anything close to this. If you think I'm mistaken, feel free to prove me wrong.